Hey, Rob Ford began. You are trespassing on city property. Leave now. In the dark back courtyard of the former CN Tower, the spotlights bobbed and trolled along the wet wall, searching for a kind of compliance. A low bilge fart emanated from maybe 100 meters inside the sluggish city guest. Everyone watched. I took a swig of beer, and so did the brunette lady's sister. Doug attached a coil of rope to the harness of his brother's radiation suit. Rob Ford threw away the megaphone at the purple object. It made a squishy hit and clattered to the pavement. He activated the chainsaw and, revving it, Mayor Rob Ford approached the quivering interloper. The first hard incision made a steamy sludge pour out of the purple object. Everyone cheered as Rob Ford chopped his way inside, using his chainsaw like a machete cutting through old-growth forest. He soon disappeared inside the purple object as Doug stood in the spotlight holding the cord attached to his brother's suit's harness. We could hear the chainsaw's roar being muffled by more and more layers of flesh and goo gurgling as Rob Ford went deeper inside the purple object until the sound of his saw was reduced to just a warm, reassuring hum. 6. Howled to the south. Entrepreneurs were setting up drink tents with lights and battery-powered jukeboxes for the people the soldiers let stay. The first tent that got its generators on played 50 mission cap, and everyone tipped the nearest soldier $10. You're welcome in Ossington, the soldier said. Thanks, I said. Thanks, said the brunette lady. Thanks, said the brunette lady's sister. I hate the wilderness, said the soldier, the city guy. A tearing sound came from the purple object, and a moan that was low and high. Rob Ford came flying, facing backwards out from the chainsaw gash he'd recently made in the purple object. The mayor got up, covered in what was like sewage. He shook his chainsaw and pulled fleshy stuff from its workings. Doug threw his brother a handkerchief from the breast pocket of his white suit. Rob Ford rubbed more gore off his chainsaw and restarted it and charged back inside the purple object's sawed entrance as his brother held the other end of the line. Doug looked down at the handkerchief left behind on the pavement by his feet and laughed. Part 3. The light bars at the base of where the CN Tower used to be had heaters. Beers were a full toonie each, but no one cared. Mayor Rob Ford was still inside the purple object, still carving his way inside with the chainsaw, though I couldn't hear it over the jukebox's selection dancing in the streets. The brunette's prettier green-eyed sister was still with me, drinking beer with me. You like being Ossington Guard? She asked, her green eyes bright. Yeah, I wouldn't do city. Why? Cities shoot at 6. We fight marauders. Sometimes we fight Americans. American soldiers? Of course not. But still, those who come across, they're better armed than our bad guys, and they know how all their gear works. Think Obama will police the border better when the feds are back? By then, we'll have bigger problems. That's my guess. Come escort me to the washrooms. The light bar's white, heavy canvas walls made the space brighter than a supermarket used to be. The other patrons here looked rich and playful and spoiled, as if the government's disappearance had not affected them at all. Maybe it hadn't. Some people just don't get catastrophe. Outside was cool black pavement in autumn darkness with spotlights rolling over bits of the giant purple slug. Sometimes the surface writhed and shuddered in the night, sweating in spotlight glare. The light bars were just a few meters away from the purple object as well, clustered together. Soldiers stood at the ready. 6 howled further away in the darkness to the south. What's your name? I asked. I'm Dora. What's yours? Call me Dara. Dora took my hand and led me east. Soldiers who hadn't seen us yet used flashlights to check us. We had our wristbands. As we walked, one light source nearby wasn't a spotlight. On the stretch of cement wall before the stairs that used to lead between the ACC and the CN Tower, before the purple object had laid over top them, was the projection of the image of the empty House of Commons, our vacant national womb. Dora and I stopped and stared. 3 boys who looked like art majors from the old days stood around the overhead projector. One of the youths was winding up a lunchbox battery. Another youth worked a carousel projector that made a strip of light underneath the House of Commons image. Each carousel clank had a message. Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal. Where is our Harper government? 4 cities. What is the international dream? Dora and I stood there, hand in hand, staring. Canada, 4 city-states. Other couples looked too. Some women sniffed with emotion, clutching men's arms. Then Dora pulled me further east to where the light bar managers had set up the toilets. There was an unlit concrete clearing where men stood and nodded each other as women used the portable washrooms. On the way back to the light bar, we lingered more at the projection art. What is the international dream, Dare? Dora asked me. That's what the mayor's finding out, I said. Then we heard Doug shouting from the direction of the light bars and the Ford caravans, shouting, "Pull! Pull!" Every non-militiaman ran toward the mayor's brother's call. A crowd had collected around the caravans, guarding the gun-toting city. Doug was pulling at the cord attached to the harness his brother wore over his radiation suit. The rope went into the fleshy, vertical, oozing slice in the side of the purple object. Some men in black suits were helping Doug pull. Several spotlights had been redirected toward where the men were, and the cord disappeared into the man-sized gash on the purple object. Mayor Rob Ford popped out back first in his radiation suit. Some women screamed and tried to charge toward him, but when he hit the pavement, he released his chainsaw and pulled off his headgear with the same hand while waving to the crowd to show that he was okay. "Oh, thank Hitchens," breathed Dora. The crowd was still drifting toward this mayor, and as he stood standing and shucking his harness and radiation suit, Doug handed him a beer. Underneath the radiation gear, Mayor Rob Ford wore a smart navy blue suit and red tie. The city started getting uppity and pretended to be riot police. "Get back!" Treating the crowd like six. "Mayor," called a lady from among us. "What is it?" As Mayor Rob Ford finished his can of beer, one of his black-suited guys had brought him another. "I have a few minutes for questions," said Mayor Rob Ford, cracking his second beer. Spotlights were on him, surrounded by the city, all being dicks. "Oh, what is it?" shouted lots of the crowd. "Don't know for sure," replied the mayor. "What do you think it is?" we yelled in various ways. "Sorry, since I don't know, my guesses are just guesses." "Please," we all shouted. "Okay," conceded Mayor Rob Ford. "I believe this thing is a Russian biotech prototype." "Was the tower inside it?" asked a female voice. "I didn't see," replied the mayor, finishing his second beer and then walking back to the SUV and the Ford Caravan. We all cheered and shouted, "Thank you," in 4 cities. Doug held my arm. Dora held my arm as if I were hers, and things were looking good. After the caravans departed, the city began patrolling and guarding and stopped acting like cops. The shared jukebox among the light bars started up again, playing at the 100th Meridian. Everyone tipped the nearest soldier $10. As Dora led me back to the light bar, she said, "We need Stephen Harper back now more than ever," as 6 to the south moaned in the night. Fourth and final part of the international dream. "It's 10 p.m. We've got radio," announced a light bar manager from outside, his voice unamplified and easily penetrating the white cloth walls of our bright tent pub. A familiar DJ's voice loomed up over the jukebox playing Portishead's Glory Box, the song's volume fading as some people called out no's and boos. Dora held my arm to listen. We were quiet, but others weren't. "This is Brenda Stiles, boo. The CBC, Canada's voice. 4 cities, bitch. Heard here in Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, woo, and Montreal. Today in Toronto, I was nearly tasered by city militia. Get her next time, as we secured Toronto's CN Tower area, which had been laid upon by a giant slug thing, which is slug-like and has apparently covered a large part of southern Front Street. Apparently, The amazing part appears to be alive and probably a secret.